All right. I'm back. Baby woke up and everything. I don't know, man. I was upset because those were some good comments that I was trying to read. Say hey, baby. Say hey. Say hi, everybody. And say hi. Yeah, she upset. She woke up. Vince McMahon woke her up because I was talking about some stuff. So if you guys come back into the chat, I appreciate it. I'm gonna have to put these two together. I'm really upset that happened. That never really happened. But going back to pandering and wrestling and stuff like that, I'm so upset, man. They had a lot of comments. But going back to it and stuff like that, like we've seen things from WWE standpoint, and it's just only a few with the Great Khali, with Veer, with gender and stuff like that. You see what they're doing, and then even with Saudi Arabia thing, how some of these the workers, they were in like dangerous environments to the point to where their livelihood was low key at stake of them not being able to fly back because the prince was upset with a whole bunch of things and like low key like being bullied over there because they couldn't even get on their flight. So we've seen stuff like that to where it is an issue. You get what I'm saying? We've seen stuff like that, and then they keep going back over there. And it's like, okay, well, geez, dog. Like I know they're getting them a lot of money and stuff like that, but that just shows you what people will do for the love of money. So you got to watch out from with that. But even going into still trying to reach out to the Indian market and the Indian market in India, Saudi Arabia, and all of that. You guys remember Shira Mahabali? I believe I'm saying his name right. You know, he was a guy that TNA brought in, or Impact. I don't know what they're called now, but he was a guy that was brought in, and they had him doing the dance. He folded his arms and he would like put his finger, lift his fingers up and stuff like that. He had people chanting and stuff like that. And then they had him feuding with they had him in a stable with yep, I'm back. I can't they tried to get me out and they woke my baby here. So they had him, and eventually they had him in a stable with James Storm. I forgot the name of the stable, but they renamed him Koya, and some people were even upset with that. So I've seen him on Impact recently, not too long ago. Shout out to Steve. This is part 2 of the live because the other one got canceled so bad. But going back into it, we had him. They had him, and then like even they had I don't know if you guys remember, there was a Ring Ka King, and what that was, it was an event in I want to say it was in India. It was an event, but what they did was they used TNA stars and OVW stars, and they add them as a different wrestler or whatever like that. And it was like one whole season that they were doing. So this is not like something that like it's exclusive to WWE, but they were trying to do something. And a lot of people, from what I've seen, they had a big crowd of people that would actually go there and actually be a part of the event. So they did that for a little bit, and then they wound up canceling that. That's what Impact did. And then with AEW, you have Satnam Singh, and he's a giant that also needs work. I'm not going to compare him to the Great Khali because we don't know much of him yet. I mean, there was a couple things that need to be polished, but hopefully he'll be a big deal in AEW and stuff like that. So it's just like, a lot of these companies, these corporate, these big companies, they are trying to expand their fan base and stuff like that. And even like Atlas said, that it can be intentional. Like majority of the time, it is intentional because you want their money. You want to appeal to them to where they're putting money into your company. Or and like Saudi Arabia is doing for WWE right now. He looks like a guy from NXT 2.0. Shout out to Steve. But he was a basketball player. He played for the Mavs, I believe. I don't know if he played like a whole season or something like that, but I did do a little research on him, and he did play some basketball a little bit. But usually, like when you have foreign guys that come over, not a lot of them, some do, but not a lot, recently have done a great job in the NBA, and they wind up doing something else. So I remember John Gonzalez. He played basketball for a little bit in the 80s, I believe, and then he decided they had him become a wrestler. And he was in WCW and in WWE with one of the most horrible WrestleMania matches against The Undertaker. But going back to what I'm saying is, some companies do it. Some, I don't want to say it has to look natural because now it makes it seem like it's fake or whatever like that. My biggest thing is just give people an opportunity. And that's easier said than done, especially if you do run a wrestling company and stuff like that. But I do understand that businesses are going to do anything to make money. They will pander. They will do things in politics. I mean, even not trying to get political with Joe Biden, right? I remember listening to the black radio stations and they had the black church songs playing in the background while somebody's talking about Joe Biden and stuff like that. And I remember them kneeling at George Floyd's funeral with kente cloth on and stuff like that. Not even authentic. We're not going into that. So you had these kind of things, or even Hillary on the Breakfast Club saying she had hot sauce in her bag and things like that, catering to the black audience and stuff like that, or the urban, if you want to be more, if you want to just be say it the nice way. So you've seen stuff like this in a whole bunch of businesses, and with wrestling is no different. Not all are the same though. Some celebrates what people are and what people do, and that's one thing because you're catering to a certain audience. But then pandering is also catering to a certain audience. But sometimes if they're biting off the hook, you're going to feed more bait. You're going to bait more people in to try to look at your product or whatever like that, or we'll change things up, as long as it provides money. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's a big risk. And with WWE is known to pander. Almost every time there's a month or a holiday or something, they play the same package. Every time it's Black History Month, right? They play that same package of Seth and Roman and them. They was going to Memphis to the hotel where Martin Luther King got assassinated. It's like the same thing. They played that thing for years. Or WWE recognizes our African American wrestlers, and they always show The Rock and like the same packages like every year. It was like to the point that they were getting like really, really lazy with this kind of thing, and it was just like, oh, okay, you're just doing it because you wanted to acknowledge, because you want to say, oh, okay, well, WWE recognizes what we went through or what some of us go through and stuff like that. And you got to be careful with generalizing. The thing that I've learned about generalizing and people generalizing is that the ones who even generalize don't like to be generalized. That was tough to say, but you get what I'm saying. So with that being said, always remember that it's a tactic from business and stuff like that. Sometimes that affects people more than others, though. Some people get upset with that kind of thing, and then sometimes people say, well, we should revolt. And some people are like, hey, some people are going to make the best of that situation. So I'm seeing like a lot of comments about, oh, well, Bianca or other women of color or women in general who wrestle for WWE, they should have just walked out with them and made a big statement and stuff like that. And I'm just saying, well, maybe they didn't feel a certain way about it. And just because they decided to stay, that doesn't make them less of a woman or less Black than the women who left. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not going into the synopsis of what people are saying in the locker room, saying a lot of people are upset and stuff. I'm not in their locker room, and I'm not trying to be in their locker room to be in their business. But at the same time, sometimes people are like, well, you should be a certain way and you should act a certain way. And you just can't run with that. Wrong is wrong and good is good. It's always a good and evil, good versus evil battle in life. You always have to remember that. So, a lot of people are upset even of Jimmy, or is it Jay? One of the ones that's married to Naomi, they're upset because, oh, well, you should leave with your wife and stuff like that. And I'm just like, one, you don't know the situation. And it could be work, but people won't hear it. But that's just the thing. People are, and then a lot of people are saying how upset they are with how they're treated in racism. And it could be. I'm not going to sit here and be like WWE isn't fond of that kind of stuff. They are. They've done stuff. Vince even said the N-word and stuff like that. I didn't know how crazy that thing was of how they treated even Booker T and Mark and all of that stuff. And then they went through all of that stuff. So it's like, this is not nothing new that happened. You get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people get affected differently from that. You know, if these two women, they wanted a break, then that's cool. But you can't be mad at the other people that decided to stay or whatever like that. It could still be a work. You just never know. But a lot of people get upset with that kind of stuff. But with pandering, you also have things. I don't want people to confuse pandering with celebrating, because you have shows that celebrate people's life or things that they were brought up with and stuff like that. You do have shows that, not technically pandering, is more of a celebration. Like when you see shows like like Rise, and it's the all women show and stuff like that. I think it's Rise, and then you have like Shimmer and stuff. I don't know if this is a recent fly. I just pick one online, but you have shows like this, and it's like they're celebrating women, or they're trying to showcase women and stuff like that. And sometimes that does work to bring more fans in, actually. But sometimes it's just a celebration, because a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women do go through some crazy stuff in the locker room and stuff like that, and people don't even protect them. I mean, y'all remember the Speaking Out movement? That lasted for like 6 months. And then after that, everybody just went along their way. They started uploading videos with creeps that they wrestled and stuff like that, because that's what made them viral in the first place. So you have shows that actually are natural, that just celebrate something or actually showcase something like that. You get what I'm saying? So that's cool. That's cool, fine and dandy and stuff like that. But it's always weird when it's a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar company, when they turn around and they say, I'm about to go into that one too. Hold on, Atlas. I wasn't supposed to be here long, but because I think we talked about this too before on the live. But sometimes it's just a celebration, and sometimes that brings people in. Oh, women wrestle? I didn't know that, and stuff like that. And that's how some people get involved with it and stuff like that. Okay, we're going to talk about this, Atlas. Pandering is equivalent is when they changed Cena's gimmick to make him a rapper. Now, if you guys don't remember, Cena had like a generic gimmick, like even like he was like the prototype in OVW and stuff like that. And then he came in, and then like he had the match with Kurt Angle, and it gave people respect. But he started gaining steam when he started being a doctor of thugonomics. And then a lot of people got behind him. They liked his rap. They liked all of this stuff. And WWE, they listened to people and they push the rapper. And then when you think of John Cena, I think of Ron Killings, who is Ron Truth, who actually had a beef with John Cena at one time, because I believe he was upset because John Cena was getting popular off of something that he was doing. And Ron Killings was the first black NWA champion, I think, from the TNA standard and stuff like that. And he was doing good storylines with Ken Shamrock and Ricky Steamboat, who was the commissioner. I remember R-Truth would actually make like diss songs and stuff like that. Cultural appropriation is also a big thing that goes on in WWE for sure, with certain things that a lot, and like I said, Alice and I have talked about it before, to where a lot of things that are in black culture is taking, and then Caucasians use it. People make fun of do-rag Vince, but at the same time, he was wearing a do-rag the whole time. And it was just like, nobody else was really wearing one. They wasn't allowing it. Last time I seen a white person wrestling wearing a do-rag was Vader, when he went against Sting in WCW. And then even when you think of Braun Strowman, you say, get these hands. R-Truth was the Truth at the time. Yeah, we call him the Truth, but yeah, they would also call him Ron Killen from time to time. But yeah, you'd had like Braun Strowman, you're going to get these hands and stuff like that. I'm not sure he's sitting there saying like black people or people of color just say one thing, but we know what it is. If somebody else say it, it's a stereotype. You get what I'm saying? But then when the black teams get stuff like Crime Time and stealing stuff and selling stuff, money, yeah, and stuff like that. When you get stuff like that, and that's probably not them. No, I mean he was the. Oh, my bad, Steve. But you get stuff like that. So it's to have a legitimate. And then even with R-Truth, right? R-Truth, he turned heel when he attacked John Morrison. And then he started saying the thing about conspiracy theories. And then it started working and it was pretty dope. It was like, okay, well, y'all probably going to put him, hopefully, but not hopefully. Unfortunately, you're going to have him in the main event thing. It was a conspiracy thing. It's a conspiracy against him. Y'all trying to hold him down and stuff that he was doing. He was in TNA. And what happened? What happened with that? They made him crazy, just like Alice said earlier. They made him crazy. Little Jimmy. Now, funny, but then when you think about it, it's like, wow, they could have really did something with this guy who was still in shape and still a great wrestler. They could have did something with him, and they didn't do nothing with him. They just made him a comedy act afterwards. They had him team with The Miz, and then The Miz attacked him, and then he was out for a little bit. I forgot. I don't know if it was a suspension or what. But Los Guerreros, yep. But even before the live got cut off by somebody, I don't know who did it, made him a crazy black man till now. And he's still a comedy act. You get what I'm saying? And that might be his form of job security. And that's fine. You know, some people might be upset with them for doing that. A lot of people get upset when some people don't want to feel like they're not putting their foot down. But we don't know what's going on 100% behind the scenes. It's all assumptions. I mean, even or reverse pandering when Lil Jimmy's starting to get over, then they turned him. Yeah, that's what, yeah. Started to get over and they turned him back. Yeah, they had him like kick him or something, like he kicked and it's funny, but it's the truth. You know, and then when they finally did have black wrestlers win it, look at what happened. I think out of the three, and I'm not including The Rock, a lot of people, y'all know how many feel about The Rock. If you want to consider him that, okay, by blood, okay, sure. But, you know, Lashley had like the better run when you think about it out of all of them. Kofi's was dope, and I love that he actually won it because it meant something, because Kofi's title run, I will say this, Kofi's title run was just like, well, dang, they listened. They listened to us, because, you know, he wasn't even scheduled to even win it. He wasn't even in it, but people, Kofi Mania and stuff like that. People were losing their minds to see Kofi, and it worked. And then even when Lashley finally won it, you know, I was excited for that. I felt that it was a long time coming because him leaving and stuff like that. And then even in Impact, you know, Impact kind of did a great job with pushing black champions or putting them up to a certain thing, especially with Bobby Lashley or whatever like that. Now, Rich One is another story, but even Moose, I think they did a great job with Moose as a champion for the time he was champ. So I hated how they gave him. Yeah, it was just that one time that he came out. I think, was it Vince and Stone Cold, and it was kind of tasteless, but you see what they're doing. But now, you know, the 24/7 title, that's a joke. And he does things with that. And, you know, he's still entertaining to this day, you know. But I really felt like they could have capitalized on him when he went against Cena. But Cena wasn't losing to nobody at that point when they were doing a conspiracy thing and stuff like that. Like, that was something that could have really registered for a lot of us. And even to this day, we could have just looked back at it and been like, yeah, this is dope. But a lot of people aren't doing documentary series and docu-series on YouTube of him like that. They aren't doing that because of the comedy aspect of it, you know. It's the truth, unfortunately. pun unintended. But even going for shows for like people of color, for blacks specifically, like you have shows like this, Black Wrestlers Matter, right? Shout out to them and everything they do. They have a show in Chicago. Yeah, there's a show in Chicago real soon. I might go. You know, I think they did a great job with showcasing and stuff like that. And they had a lot of people. They donated. They wanted to do sponsorships and stuff like that. You know, it was showing like a big celebration of what we do, because when we look at TV, and I hate to say it, AEW got around to it, but at one point it felt like it was a little standstill. But a lot of people was like, wait on it. But a lot of people, they see how some of us are treated, and not even just black wrestlers, just some wrestlers in general who are very talented, and they don't even get a chance or an opportunity to showcase. Lashley should have been booked on the same level as Lesnar since day one, and he's still playing catch up. And I agree with you, Atlas. The way that people always try to speak up for WWE's pushing, it always was BS to me. Oh, they're pushing Brock because he's a big guy and he's athletic and he's strong and nobody can really beat him and stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, well, when I would bring up Lashley, or people would say, what about Bobby Lashley? He has to be about as strong as this guy. This guy is still in good shape and stuff like that. What's up with him? Oh, well, he doesn't know how to talk. Does Brock know how to talk? Brock didn't know how to talk. It's like, and it's like, you know, both needed work at one point and stuff like that. But this was a dream match from way back when. And then they even had they had Bobby Lashley versus Batista, but then it ended in like a DQ. I was thirsty for that match because of how big Batista was. So with us saying that representation is a big thing, we have something, and we have a guy that could wrestle about as great as these guys, that's as strong as Batista and Brock, and as agile as Brock. They should have did something. They should have capitalized. I believe it was Great American Bash. He went against John Cena for the WWE title, and a lot of people was like, Lashley's going to win it. Lashley has to win it. Lashley has to be the one to defeat Cena in his big reign, and it didn't happen. John Cena gave him an attitude adjustment off the second rope, and that was it. And then shortly after, he had an injury. That's my baby snoring, y'all. He had an injury, and he was off. And then he was in TNA with Crystal Marshall, if y'all remember her. She was, yeah, that lady. Ooh, that lady. But going back into it, yeah. So we've had a lot of things to where it's like, hey, you guys are missing out. And WWE is known to miss out on a lot of opportunities and stuff like that. And then people could even say Scorpio Sky and AEW. However, I think that as far as Scorpio is good. I kind of like that stuff. And even like Keith, Swerve, Starks, all of this stuff, Hobbs, like a lot of them are coming to their own with AEW. I know it's kind of difficult to be lost in the shuffle with them with everything that's going on, but they are becoming very, very popular, and it is dope that they are getting that kind of opportunity. Atlas says Bobby Lashley has the same athletic credentials as Lesnar, but since he didn't want a black gimmick or was a thug or rapper, they didn't push him. And I can believe that. Like, Lashley has a better record in MMA than Lesnar. And the thing is, Lesnar, what people like to say is Lesnar was in a company that counts, you know, but Lashley was out there. I think Lashley only had like 2 losses. He only had like 2 losses or whatever like that. But that's the thing. And it's like, some people don't want to do this kind of stuff. Like Rodney Mack and Jazz, and I had the opportunity to talk to them. They were saying that they wanted them to do certain things that they just wasn't with. And that was one of the reasons why they was out. And I'm just like, you know, it's sad because these people are very talented and there's just some nice people to be treated like that. So I mean, he wrestled with the former president. Yeah, true. But still, it was like, to me, that the Trump thing with Bobby and stuff, that should have elevated him after he won. He was the ECW champion. He lost it to Vince, do-rag Vince, by the way. Take notes. Vince had a do-rag on. Then he finally beat him back. And then as soon as he won it, he got drafted, I believe, to Raw, where Cena was the champ. Got drafted to Raw, had to vacate his ECW title, had to win a challenge to win an opportunity to go against Cena. So everything was aligned for Bobby Lashley to be a WWE champion right there. Like, to me, it's all right there. It was all aligned. Man, I've been doing this for a long time. That's true, Steve. Not a lot of people did that. You know, that was aligned. Booker T and Triple H, that was aligned because of how Triple H was talking to Booker T. And I don't care. We can talk about how great of a booker and everything that Triple H was. He knew what he was doing and what he was saying and stuff like that when he was talking to Booker. But it would have felt so great to have Booker win instead of giving him a pedigree and then pinning him 19 seconds later. Took away all the glitz and glamour from everything. But going back to Bobby Lashley, yeah, Bobby, to me, seemed like he had a good attitude. I just don't see, you can't even say he wasn't ready because Brock was like young as heck when he got the title and stuff like that. Like, come on, man. Like, when it comes to being some certain people and you want them to be pushed and stuff like that, and then like you can have a debate, you know, friends, family, they all debate about stuff like that. And then when you turn around and you try to say, oh, well, they don't have this and they don't have that. And it's just like, man, the Great Khali was the world heavyweight champion. Even though it was a secondary title, I would never say the world heavyweight title was the primary. It never was. And when a lot of people of color, black folk, when we talk about black champions and stuff like that, don't bring up that title. Now, that title is one of my favorite looking titles ever, but do not bring that one up because that was a secondary title. I'm going to keep saying it every year because it's going to be a debate about that every time. But going back into it, yeah, Bobby was one. But you have a lot of companies that do celebrate what they are, who they are, and stuff like that. I can name several wrestlers that should have had title runs and did it. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. And then you have people that, she is snoring, y'all. You have a lot of people, excuse me, you have a lot of people who had the crowd behind them and stuff like that. You know, I'm not sitting here saying you got to listen to everything. It wasn't yeah, exactly, Steve. It wasn't the WWF WWE title. It wasn't. And even now, how they even made the WWE title low key the secondary title, compared to Roman with the with the Universal title, that was just laughable in itself too. You know, the Universal title should have always been the secondary title. You should just gave it to Roman, and then everybody else could have been a somewhat. I don't know. I'm actually on the fence about that. I'm on the fence about that because the WWE title is the one, but then just to have it secondary was kind of disrespectful in my opinion. Atlas says the fact that Ron Simmons was never a WWE champion after being the first legit black champion, bam, is disgusting. Bam. Even with the nation, like you had all, even before that, but still you had all the things to put that align, and then you skipped him to go to his APA partner Bradshaw, who's a controversial figure in himself, but it makes sense because of what they kind of do and what they kind of represent. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know what? Nah, you know, a dude, Bradshaw, who's always had problems with people back in the back and issues with people and being a bully and stuff like that. And he's just like, you know what? We're not going to give it to the guy that stays out of trouble. We're going to give it to him, the guy that was doing the duck walk and all kind of stuff and overseas and stuff. World Heavyweight Championship was great, but we know how Vince feels about titles that wasn't his. Yeah, and it's so open. It's so open and it's so blatant. You get what I'm saying? That's the kind of things that he would do. But excuse me, going back to it and stuff like that, like with my show, right? Because I'm gonna always promote it. So like with my show, as you can see, the show, it has a lot of people of color on it. Now, I not only want to be a great representation for us, I want to be a great representation for people in general, regardless of who they are and stuff like that. I do want to be like, oh, okay, well, look at what this guy's doing and stuff like that. Even not just wrestling, even promoting stuff like that. If he can do it, you know, I can do it and stuff like that. You know, me with my faith in God and listening to my wife and stuff, because sometimes I'm just hot-headed with a whole bunch of things. But I try to motivate others and I try to help others and stuff like that and do things that I can do. You get what I'm saying? But even my flyer could low-key make somebody upset. I mean, even guys versus gals, some people were upset with that show because they felt a certain way about intergender wrestling and stuff like that. Like I've had like all kind of comments and I've had all kind of stuff. Like people are going to say all kind of stuff. But my thing is this. All right, cool. If I can get everybody together to enjoy wrestling and to invest in me and know that they get a great investment, then that's cool. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying to appeal to certain people. But then again, when it's pandering, it can become poisonous because sometimes your quality of your stuff messes up. A lot of people are upset with, I know AJ left, but a lot of people are upset with Disney and stuff because some people like how the comic adaptations of these characters are, but then they switch it out from orientation, color, gender, like they switch the stuff out. So some people are very, very vocal on those kind of things, because they already know that if you emphasizing on just representation so hard, the quality might be messed up. And that's how some wrestlers think about sometimes. Okay, we're just going to push this person because they look like this, or they're from this, or they act a certain way, but then the quality is messed up. They can cry to their therapist if they are mad at that poster. Yeah, they can do whatever they like. Like I said, family friendly entertainment. I pride myself in that. We got some good stuff. Like, people don't know what happens behind the scenes on why that flyer is the way it is, why Guys versus Gals was the way it is, and stuff like that. Because everybody can ask me any questions in my inbox, and I most likely talk to you and tell you everything that happens about how I do certain things. But that's just what it is. I'm coming up from a time where majority of the wrestlers for a company was black, but they had just all Caucasians on the flyer because they didn't think that they would make a lot of money, because a lot of people who did come see them at the time were Caucasian. So they would do something like that because they wanted more Caucasians to come to the show, because they felt like they would get more money from them and stuff like that. I trust me, I've seen. I'm like, man, like, these dudes don't even wrestle, come to practice, and why are they on the card? Like, they don't even care. They're not even solid. But that's just what it is. It's not just from a mainstream front; it's from an independent front as well. Location. You know, we've all seen this kind of stuff before, and it really is unfortunate that this kind of stuff many of us go through. You know, me, I just want to have great wrestling shows, great wrestling matches, and stuff like that. If I can get everybody in together to enjoy it, regardless any walk of life, whatever you do, you know, some people look down on certain parts in wrestling, and some people got out of those dark spots in wrestling and actually trained and wanted to do things and make a name for themselves the right way. Not no Joey Janela setting my foot on fire and trying to super kick and can't even put the fire out on my foot, stuff like that. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. But going back into it as I'm about to leave, I'm upset because there was a lot of comments that was left on that first live. So I don't know exactly what happened, but like I said, I'm thankful for what I continue to do. I think it's kind of dope that a few people, or a lot, can come to a live and talk about how they feel, or do like Windy City used to, put black folks on the cart but have them job hard. See, I heard about that too. It's like it's come a long way, but we still got a long way to go, if that makes sense. I can't speak for every company. You know, I've been to some spots where it's like, oh, okay, you just want us here to do the checkbox thing. You know, a lot of companies do that. Okay, well, we have an Asian, we have a Caucasian, we have this, we have that, to do a checkbox, so nobody can say they're this and that. But it doesn't matter. You can hire 5 people that are black and 1 person that are 6. The 6th person can be white, and you can still be a racist. You can still get them a hard time and stuff like that. You can't hide behind that no more. That stuff is like so obvious, especially with social media and stuff like that. You can't hide that kind of stuff. You know, and it's just a fact. But what I'm trying to do is appeal to things, because I don't try to force myself or force somebody to like me or what I do. That's just not what I'm doing. What I do is I promote my stuff and I showcase it. And I'm saying, hey, I think it's the best stuff that you will ever see. And if you come back, you know, if you see it, you will be excited. You will want to come back for that or whatever like that. It doesn't matter who you are, but you're not going to slander me and say stuff bad about it, or because I look like you, I should treat you a certain way or give you a discount or put you on a pedestal and stuff like that. Same thing as if you want me to support your business because you look like me, and I do it, and I give everybody an opportunity, and then you give me a hard time, a bad customer service, and I'm just supposed to say, oh, well, you look like me, so I should go through this bad customer service, so you talking to me a certain way. You see how that works? It doesn't work like that. You know, pandering doesn't have a color. it doesn't have a color. And I've been to it, and I'm not just saying it on all spectrums. Whoever you are, where you from, how you were born, the color of your skin, I've seen it on all spectrums, you know. voting time. Hey, vote for Hillary, need a woman. Like stuff like that. Like I've seen this kind of stuff. And it's just like, just do it just because. And that's the worst thing to do. And that's what I'm going to leave you on. The worst thing somebody can do is say you are just because that belittles what you do. Or just saying oh, you're just a wrestler, or just because we black, we supposed to do this, we supposed to feel a certain way. Just because you're a guy, you're supposed to feel this way or whatever. You're just a wrestler, so you're supposed to do this. When you use just can be very bad because it can be very belittling when you think about it. So, just a food for thought. With this, I don't know what my schedule is going to be like. I think I'm on first shifts for until next weekend. So I'm probably just going to vibe out. And if I see a topic that is worth talking about, we'll do it. I'm going to do more open panels. I have more fun. I want to bring Atlas on here soon. I want to bring even Steve or anybody else. Many people have like left comments and stuff like that. I do want to like talk to them and pick their brain on certain things and actually listen to what they have to say, because outside of just the StreamYard thing, I used to go live a lot, and we used to just talk about anything, Like I said, I'm upset, unfortunately, but got to move on. That my second live messed up my first live messed up really, really bad. But I'm gonna head on out, chill out for the rest of the night before we get ready for work tomorrow. Shout out to Atlas. Always. Thank you, brother. I appreciate everything you continue to do for us. Shout out to Arshawn for responding. Thank you, Atlas. Appreciate you. Consistent. Regardless if you like what I say or not, you speak and everything like that. I appreciate that. What up, Marcel? Long time no see. Shout out to you, man. I'm about to log off of this stuff. Shout out to Steve through live. AJ, I don't know if AJ's still here. Shout out to everybody that's that listened, stopped by. It's a 2-part series, unfortunately. It wasn't my intentions. I'm going to figure out, I want to do like a special live on something, but we'll figure out what we'll do from that. If you haven't, subscribe to the channels at the top. Take It Home Podcast, YouTube, C3 Ultimate Wrestling, YouTube. Check out the website for tickets. Check out the PayPal. Check out my Facebook. God bless you guys. I love you guys. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.